Now I want to bring in Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee. He sits on the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thank you. Appreciate your time. What a day. Chairman Nadler, the leader of your committee, says that the report outlines disturbing evidence. So what are you going to do about it? What's your path forward?
Well, a lot of people would like to impeach. I'd like to impeach. I feel like he's committed impeachable offenses. But just as John Dean said, and everybody knows, the Senate Republicans are mostly composed of invertebrate creatures, and without spine, you'll not have a conviction. So the process is not worth going through if you're not going to get a conviction in most people's minds, and particularly politically, although a lot of the folks that are followers of mine would like to go forth and think it's good just to do it. A middle ground is the censure, and the House can censure the president for conduct. Doesn't remove him from office, but it does put a notation there for history that the House of Representatives will have found that his conduct was so opprobrious that they chose to pass a censure resolution. And I'm going to discuss that with leadership as possibly a middle ground. It would be wonderful if we could get rid of him. I know there's Steve Cohen, the chamber magician. He can make people disappear. I wish I had his powers. I'd just do that. But since I don't, I'll have to try a censure resolution.
So what do you think of what counsel to the President Kellyanne Conway's husband, George Conway, wrote? Said talking about the president may have some raw constitutional powers, but now it's time for Congress to act, basically saying in the public interest that he could surely be removed from office even if he has not committed a criminal act because of his actions. What do you think of that?
Well, it's like he's the House and he can impeach, and that's great, but Kellyanne's the Senate. She's not going to vote for it. So even in his own House, he can't carry the proposition.
Very interesting way of putting it.
I mean, I think he's committed impeachable offenses: emoluments, obstruction, derogation of the office, how he was referred to the press and all. He's done a lot of things, and he has no connection. You know, I was thinking of when you were talking earlier, this whole thing has been sex lies, but we didn't have any videotapes. You've got the Southern District has got the sex, which the president denied. He said he didn't. Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, and knew nothing about the payments, and you know, and then he says no collusion, no obstruction. That's as close to the truth as Mexico's going to pay for the wall. I mean, the man has no regard for the truth, and now we know that Sarah Huckabee lies too. She just kind of goes around and spins it, but she knows not to perjure herself. But lying to the public as the press secretary is okay. This administration is just full of just the gang that couldn't shoot straight. But they're there, and they're in power, and they're taking care of their cronies, and they're making a lot of rich people richer, and they've got a lot of not so wealthy people, pretty much poor people, brainwashed to make them think that he cares about them and he's helping them. He could care less about anybody except himself. Yeah. And his family, maybe.
You know Eric Swalwell, who's a congressman who's running for president. He says, he's also in the Judiciary Committee, he says that Attorney William Barr should step down. Do you agree with him?
Yeah, I think he shouldn't have ever stepped up. But he did it for some purpose. There was some group wanted him to come in and do the deed. He agreed to do it. I don't think he's just looking out for his daughter and son-in-law, both of whom work for the administration.
What about Barr being impeached?
He liked the gig. That's a possibility, but I don't think the Senate would do it either. The fact is, the Senate's not going to, they're not going to convict anybody except Hillary Clinton. You know, they're still worried about her. Barr, we could do a censure on him too, and maybe he should be censored. You know, Trump could fire him within 4, 5, 6 months. He doesn't keep people around long, and you don't stay in his favor for long, and he could accidentally do something right and get fired.
Congressman Cohen, thank you for your time.
You're welcome, Don. You know, Chris had on Giuliani. The spin was unbelievable.
Well, you know.
Right. The spin.
Yeah, and it's nighttime, right? And it'll be morning tomorrow. What else is new? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, Don.